Hello, everybody. So it had been a while since a single tweet tanks the entire market. Basket selling, benchmark selling, everybody owns the benchmark, at least a lot of TradFi owns the benchmark. They hear some uncertainty, they sell, and they throw the baby out with the bathwater. They sell stuff that is not impacted by tariff, just like they sell stuff that is impacted by tariff. It is an anomaly of the market these days. It's a problem with index funds, a problem with ETFs that was created by Jack Bogle, if you ask me. And oftentimes, if you remember last April when that happened, and it's always on a Friday, by the way. Those tweets almost always happen on a Friday, typically a Friday afternoon, today a Friday morning. But Friday pain followed by Monday gains. And, is it going to be the same this time? I mean, more likely than not, in my view. But anyways, it had been a while. So we have a long tweet, whatever, talking about random stuff. But anyways, yeah, rare earth material, Trump's upset. I guess there's going to be tariffs over the metals, or China holding a bunch of rare earth material. This is a narrative we've known for years and years and years. We've heard about this for years. Yeah, they own a lot of rare earth materials. Well, guess what? There's rare earth everywhere in the world. We just don't have the refining capacity. We just don't have the mines, and so it's China who owns that. My take on this is that, well, first of all, the negotiation tactic of President of the United States is you go hard, you make a scary tweet, and then you come with more reasonable requests. And so if you want a slight tariff increase, the way to do that is to scare the market and spook the market and say there's gonna be huge tariff increases, and then 3 or 4 weeks later you find out, okay, well, it's not that bad, it's just a little bit. So that's just the way of that he negotiates. Start with a boom, and then shock at the negotiation table, and then kind of come to an agreement. In my view, this is a continuation of the issue of one-sided narrative in the media, telling you that tariffs just lead to price increases, which is not true. There's a lot of price increases. To me, they're 25% of the story. 25% is supplier concession, 25% is margin compression, and then you have currency devaluation. So price increases, currency devaluation, margin compression, supplier concessions. The tariffs are eaten by multiple parties, namely 4 of them, not just the one. But the media makes you think it's only one, and so the market is scared because they're like, okay, tariff will lead to inflation. And again, this is not something, in my view, this is not something that we see in the data. Over time, we will see actually that there is deflation coming because of automation. Anyways, the narrative, the way it is, the market acts fast and the market sells off everything, including companies that have nothing to do with tariffs. And that starts with Bitcoin. If you look at Bitcoin is always the first thing that sells off. Surprisingly, gold is doing fine. Gold doesn't correlate to NASDAQ, but Bitcoin is correlated to NASDAQ. Of course, a bad tweet, Bitcoin dumps, and this is obviously exaggerated by a lot of liquidations. I was reading on X, more than 500 million people have already been liquidated from their positions. People were extremely bullish. Lots of position got placed when we're above 120s. Now we are dropping again. This triggered it, and it's triggering a lot of liquidation cascades, and that's where some deals can be had. So let's go really briefly. What does HIMS have to do with this? Someone need to tell me, what does HIMS have to do with this? HIMS has nothing to do with this. It's actually down a little more right now, down almost 8%. Nothing to do with this. LifeMD, what does that have to do with this? Nothing. SoFi, finance company, what does it have to do with this? Nothing. Reacts, kind of my bet on real estate and real estate play, under $4. We haven't seen it in under $4 in a little while. The stock was trading $5 not too long ago. Again, what does that have to do with this? Nothing at all. The market is selling the basket. Small caps bad, thus they sell small caps more likely. It's all about fund flows. It's the fund flows. That's all it is. Let's talk about strategy and Bitcoin. Of course, channel favorites, right? Actually, interestingly, right now, as of the moment I make this screenshot, strategy behaving okay, down 1.8%, while Bitcoin is down 1.6%. Normally, you would expect strategy to dump a lot more. Well, guess what? It dumped more than I bid over many days the past week. So, okay, doing a little better right now. Stretch still at 99. So we'll see where this go. We'll see where Bitcoin ends up. But the shorts seem to be determined to dump Bitcoin. And of course, people are accumulating in the background. The market is entirely ignoring the fundamentals of Bitcoin, and that's okay. That's the game of investing. That's why we're careful with options and any sort of dated derivatives. Be very careful with that. Tesla. Let's talk about Tesla. What is going on with Tesla? Okay, Tesla was up. It was almost 460, not quite, but almost. Tesla has had so much good news, and it's been down despite the good news from 416 to now 420, and that's despite tremendous good news. I don't discuss much Tesla on this channel, but I follow Tesla pretty closely. Talking about rare earth materials, one of the it's not I don't know if you would call it a rare earth or not, but it's somewhat related. It is a raw material. It's lithium, right? Tesla opened up right a month ago. They opened their lithium factory, and they're now refining their own lithium. So if there's a problem with rare earth magnets or whatever like that, I have no issue imagining Tesla opening its own processing facility for rare earth, because rare earth are found everywhere. It's all about the processing. Tesla can spin up something like that, and even if there's tariffs on rare earth, let's assume there's tariffs on rare earth, it's gonna be a small component of the whole price of the car. It's not that large of a component of the whole price of the car. And a lot of the companies I follow on this channel, they have higher gross margin. We're not talking about Ford here. We're talking about Tesla. They have higher gross margin. They can eat a little bit of this cost. They can gate costs elsewhere. Also, Tesla, of course, delivery numbers through the roof. Seems like the market has forgotten about that, but amazing delivery numbers. So that means we're going to have a great quarter, from what I understand, at least from what I hope. And they launch the Model Y Standard, right? Standard, 37,000 euros in Europe for some countries have it at 39, and of course in the US it's $39,900. I don't know how this is not going to be a hit. This is going to be a tremendous hit. It's very hard today to find even a combustion car under $40,000 or 40,000 euros. And this time you have a Model Y, which is a SUV, which is the best-selling car in the world. To me, it's going to be a hit, and we're going to sell a lot of it. And the market is sleeping on this, still sleeping on this. Apparently, Optimus can do Kung Fu now. Very impressive. I saw quite a few impressive videos. Of course, they have it in other settings. You can see the AI is making the development of these robots go much faster than a lot of people anticipated. I suggest you watch the Figure video. Figure is the would-be competitor to Optimus. There's a question about manufacturing, but it's the would-be competitor. To me, they're about in line in how quickly they've developed. These things have developed so quickly. The market is sleeping on this. The market is not seeing this. The market is not only looking at tariffs bad. And I will conclude talking about the NASDAQ selling off. This is very, very silly to me when I see the NASDAQ sell off like that. And I don't consider the NASDAQ expensive, despite the outperformance that we've had for a very long time in the NASDAQ. When I see the companies in the NASDAQ, I rest very well at night, and I sleep very well at night. I mean, NVIDIA, I've listened to a lot of new interviews from Jensen. They are at the top of their game. Microsoft, lots of investments in different parts of AI. Broadcom, we forget about Broadcom, but they have a lot of room to grow with TSMC. Lots of rights to manufacture with TSMC that are very valuable. I talk about Tesla. Tesla, of course, big company. These companies, when I look at these companies, I look at the top American companies, and people are selling the top American companies on fear, on uncertainty, to do what? To buy fiat? To buy fiat. That's what we are doing. We're selling it to buy fiat. I don't know where else, because they're not buying Bitcoin. I guess they're buying a little bit of gold, but most of that money is going into fiat. This makes absolutely no sense to me when we have some of the most elite corporations in that index, the index which is the most sold off. So selling off the index on a tweet, I will never understand this concept, but it is deals, and it creates deals, and it creates opportunities, and that's why we love to have a little bit of dry powder. So anyways, this was not investment advice, not financial advice. This is only entertainment. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.